What's up, War Room? Welcome back. Joe Caparoso, Connor Rogers, fresh off recording a podcast. We're in the reverse order again. Talked most valuable Jets, some news and notes on the pod. War Room tonight, we're going to talk our 53-man projections, piggybacking off a question we got in the Discord, and also talk a little more Reddick, also piggybacking off a question we got in the Discord. Play nice with our new friends who have joined. Zach and team are in there for the day we launched Flight Plan. And also one more thank you to War Room, our highest tier, the most important parts of this community as we pass 3,000 subscribers today. And War Room is almost at 1,000. I think it's like 950, and there's about 750 in the Discord. So let's get everyone in War Room into the Discord so you max it out. So if you're listening and you're not in Discord yet, do it. Anyway, my only other PSA reminder that I'll give you is badlandstoj.com still has some merch flowing. Check it out. And we have some new stuff dropping soon. Anyway, War Room question one, and this was from Andy, and I'm paraphrasing. Effectively, it was, give us your 53-man expectation. And what battles are you watching for going into this final game? And I started to answer this off another question. There's not much left to be sorted out when you're talking about roster spots.
Yeah, wasn't a lot to begin with, right?
No, it's what depth linebackers are you keeping behind the main three of Quincy, Mosley, and Sherwood? It's what are you doing with the extraneous special team spot? Did Codrington make the team as a returner? And if you keep him, do you knock off Irv Charles, who isn't a good gunner, but you're just keeping him for special teams reasons? Our guy Brownlee might not make the team. I don't know if he's earned a spot as much as we like him. It's been
hasn't been good. Yeah.
It's been an alarmingly quiet and not great preseason. Still a discussion to have about Izzy, if they're going to carry 4 running backs or not.
Do you think Izzy's looked good though? Because I'm extremely biased. I think Izzy's running behind a 4th string offensive line, and he looks explosive to me.
He's looked pretty good. He's definitely looked more decisive and downhill than he did last year. And what's interesting about him is he's such a different skill set than the rest of the group, that having that variance, and you think he could return if you really needed him to. I know he didn't have a great experience with last year, but with the new rules, could he prospectively add value there? And do they not want to cut bait on a draft pick so early? Would not shock me if they carried 4 running backs, because Bond's gone. He actually just got picked up, I think, by the Texans to play with Tim Boyle. And I guess the question then would that be, how many receivers are you keeping? And how many tight ends are you keeping? Because I think Ferkser is going to make the team because Ruckert's missed all summer, and Ferkser's a veteran who can play that H-back role. So I wonder if he makes a team even just for the first couple weeks.
That's a good idea.
Because Yeboah will probably make it, but that's just for special teams. And that, again, makes me wonder, how many pure special teams guys are you keeping? You can't keep Yeboah, Charles, and Codrington, who are pure special teams players. Again, if it was me, I kind of feel like, especially now that Malik Taylor's on IR, I kind of feel like only 5 receivers have really earned a roster spot, which is the main 5 that we're talking about. We think they're going to make a veteran addition at some point, probably before the trade deadline. But you have Garrett, Mike Williams, Lazard, Corley, and Gibson. Like, those 5 are definitely going to make it. Did they just carry 5 and say we're carrying 4 tight ends with Conklin, Ruckert, Yeboah, and Ferkser, because he's a veteran and he's going to kind of be an H-back, and like, since we don't have a fullback. And if they do that, then you can carry 4 running backs, because I do think they're going to carry 10 offensive linemen. I think Max Mitchell, Carter Warren, and Xavier Newman are all going to make it, along with Fashanu and Schweitzer being sort of the second line. That kind of rounds it out in terms of roster spots. And if you don't go that route, where you don't keep Charles and you don't have the 6th receiver, who I think would be Brownlee or maybe Brandon Smith at this point, although he feels like more of a practice squad player, then you could keep a guy like Codrington if you think he has real return pop, because he's not going to play on defense in any meaningful way. I mean, how are you handling these spots? Can the Jets just carry 5 receivers and do 4 running backs and do 4 tight ends, and in the back of their mind be like, we're probably trading for Devontae Adams in 7 weeks, so like, it's fine.
Right. That's an interesting way of looking at it. And if you think you're going to, then yeah, I think why that's tricky out of the gate is, I mean, what are the snaps Mike Williams is giving you the first 3 weeks of the season? So we don't know the answer to that question. Only the Jets and his health plan do. If you're confident in that, and you could rotate him in, and it's going to be obviously Garrett Wilson, Lazard, Gibson. You probably could, and obviously Corley's going to play a little bit. You probably could make that work because
there's a lot of 12 personnel, a lot of 2 back sets,
which they're going to be a lot of. Like the Jets are going to be a lot of that. They want to play heavy. Everything the Jets have done this offseason tells you they want to play heavy. They've built an entire offensive line, besides Tippmann to me, that is gap scheme focused. And Tippmann could do it. He just was drafted more. When you think of his skill set, you think of him doing a lot of zone related things, but he could be fine in that scheme. You look at the running back, the stable of backs they have, a lot of downhill runners. I mean, yeah, they're going to play heavier. So if the Jets were a team that they were living in 11 personnel and their second or third formation was, I won't say empty, but they've got 4 wide receivers on the field. Well, then you got to keep 6 or 7 wide receivers because one's probably going to be a gunner and the other guys are going to play. They're just not that kind of football team. And we don't want them to be, and I don't think Rodgers wants them to be. So, and Conklin is so involved in the pass game that it kind of factors in. When you look at the target share, I mean, if healthy, if everyone's perfect health, you would think the order of targets would go Garrett Wilson, Mike Williams, Breece Hall, Tyler Conklin. Yep. Mike Williams isn't healthy right now. So that means Tyler Conklin is in top 3 of expected targets probably on this team. So he's a big part of the pass game. It depends. Let's see how Brownlee finishes. He caught the touchdown in the first preseason game. He looked really bad in the second preseason game. It's just so hot and cold. That's the problem right now. Yeah. He's been hot and cold. So Codrington is, and shout out to PK, who has really...
He's been a guy.
He's been on, the other guys have been on this. Codrington is the one that's really weird to figure out the trickle effect if he finds a way to make this team. Because he's a returner, right? Well, last year they kept Xavier Gibson as a returner. And he kind of surprisingly developed into a capable slot, like a depth slot player.
Poor man Jamison Crowder for life.
Right. And I think they really like Gibson as an offensive player now, where he's not just on the team as a returner. So maybe that opens the door for Codrington. But what's the trickle effect there? I mean, I think it all comes back to the answer, like in the room, is just always Irv Charles. Because you're telling me Stiggers can't be the gunner, one of the gunners?
He had a great gunner rep against the Panthers. He just shoved his guy into the returner.
It was a beautiful play. So I don't really understand, and this is a Brant Boyer question because Brant's been here long enough that he gets a big say on who makes the team, I would think, from a roster perspective for specials only. One of these running backs is going to get hurt. So keep Izzy. Because are you really going to be one Breece, Braylon, or Isaiah Davis injury away from, signing a guy off the street as your third running back? No, keep Abanikanda. That's who you want as your third running back if someone gets hurt. Honestly, I can make the argument he should be the third running back right now because he's so different from the other guys. I'm kind of with you, Joe. There's a world where they keep 5 receivers. But what the Jets do, they're very unpredictable with these things. They've kept some weird roster.
There's always a weird
They've kept 4 quarterbacks before. They've kept 7 wide receivers. They've done really odd things these things are I always tell people they're very difficult to predict, but we just try to predict with logic. It doesn't mean that they'll necessarily feel the same way.
Yeah, the Jetsiest thing to do would be like keeping Peasley and Martinez, and they're carrying 4 quarterbacks to start the year.
5 tight ends. They'll keep Conklin, Ruckert, Yeboah, Kuntz, and Firkser.
Yeah, they'll do something weird. Underdog, we've made it to the season. Season-long higher lowers, weekly higher lowers. We're struggling a little bit in the preseason. We're going to pick it up. We have logged 14 best ball drafts this offseason. We're going to do one more before week 1. Promo code Badlands to get a deposit match up to $1,000 now, not $250. Take advantage of it. Use that promo code Badlands. CR, you're a fantasy football man now, beyond being a Jets man and a draft man. Who are you most excited about for the Jets this year? Where are you seeing value?
The value might actually lie in a guy like Tyler Conklin, believe it or not. The stars are going to be Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, and we all know that. I actually think there's even value in Garrett Wilson, but we got the pick'ems every single week, the over-unders. It's going to be awesome to see the higher and lowers of all of this. So we've been drafting like crazy, literally every single month, all the way before the draft for this season. So moving over to some different lines with yards, touchdowns, passing yards, sack totals, and you've been able to do a little bit of it the preseason as well. It's going to get taken up a notch during the regular season.
Make sure to sign up today with Underdog using code Badlands. Now, defensively, there's going to be a trickle down to what happens with Reddick, but he's not here right now. So let's, talk around it. Feels like Leonard Taylor and Tack are on track to make the team. It's hard for me to see, at least in a world where Reddick's not here, that both of those guys aren't on the final 53. Clemens is going to be on the 53, at least to start the season. Of course, Sal Thomas and Leaky Fotu will be in there. Kinlaw, Quinnen, Jermaine, Will McDonald. It kind of feels like McGregor and Watts are trending more.
Yeah, what about all along the Watts tower? No, yeah, it's not looking good, probably.
It's looking practice squad, I feel like, for Watts and McGregor. They keep Taylor and Tack. And then if they bring in, if they get it done with Reddick, that has an impact there. Linebacker, it's like Surratt or Barnes. Are they going to be your fourth guy? I know they just signed a guy who bounced around to a 2-year deal yesterday. I forget the inside linebacker's name, but I wonder if they have him circled for whatever reason for that fourth linebacker spot, because we know who the first three are going to be. Although it's like you use the draft pick on Barnes, and Saleh likes Surratt a lot.
Love Surratt.
Just keep one of them. Secondary, Oliver and JBC, we know we're going to make the team from the way Saleh's talking about them. Like they're on ice until week 1, even though one or both may be inactive. Bubble Wrap, Chuck Clark, Ashton Davis are going to be here at safety. Of course, Sauce, DJ Reed, Michael Carter, Stiggers, I think is a lock at this point. Eccles is probably a lock at this point. It's just like not a lot to sort out. Are they going to try to trade?
Jalen Key, Mr. Irrelevant?
Jalen Key? Yeah, I don't know. I don't see. I mean, they like Oliver as a safety, and they're saying he's a safety. If Oliver's going to make the team and JBC is going to make the team, I think he's got practice squad. It feels like the practice squad is like Watts, McGregor, Key, Peasley, Martinez, Brandon Smith. Maybe they try it with Kuntz.
Everybody always, famous last words, everybody always, and I'm guilty of this, everybody always does well, you can't cut that rookie, that draft pick or UDFA because you won't get to keep them. And then they're always in the practice squad the whole year. The NFL is just weird like that, where they're GMs aren't really that adventurous with swiping rookies. They swipe veterans because they know what they are, but there's not a lot of times that there's a UDFA that gets cut that they're like, I'm putting them on my 53 right away. They just go to the practice squad of the team that cut them.
Yeah, there's just like, I don't think there's a ton. Also, they're going to lock this roster, and there's going to be a waiver wire. They're going to add 2 people, and they're going to cut the bottom 2 people who make the initial